Hello everyone and welcome to the first lecture for week 12 in our listening and speaking course. Let's start the lecture. Okay, in our previous lectures we discussed types of spoken language and we started with small talks and we discussed what small talks mean, and in this lecture we are going to start with conversations. So what do we mean by a conversation? Well, a conversation is an informal occasion or overlapping talk in which people exchange news and ideas. يعني حديث عادي, you exchange news and ideas with other people informally. It has a socializing function. The function of conversations usually, especially in informal occasions, is socializing, to get to know others and the participants are two or more. To make a conversation you need someone else to talk to. So the participants of a conversation are two or more. So at least two people can make a conversation. So now, what are the characteristics of conversations? Let's see. Okay, characteristics of a conversation. Well, the first characteristic is spontaneous. So a conversation is spontaneous. What do we mean by describing a conversation as spontaneous? Well, people don't fix time for chatting, but they engage in the conversation or they participate in a conversation casually without planning. So spontaneous, عفوي أو تلقائي, it means you don't plan for this conversation to happen. Okay, you don't fix time, it just happens casually. Okay, the second characteristic is unrehearsed. What do we mean by unrehearsed? يعني ما بتتدربش عليها مسبقا. The participants in a conversation do not practice their speech as actors do. So you don't practice a conversation beforehand. It just happens spontaneously, casually. Okay? Now the third characteristic is synchronous. So a conversation takes place in real time. Okay? A conversation takes place in real time. And synchronous means متزامن أو تزامني, so it just happens in real time. Okay? Now the third characteristic is face-to-face. Face-to-face, and you all know what face-to-face means. So speakers usually speak to each other in the same place unless some technology like computer, web or telephone allows them to communicate from a distance. Just like what happens nowadays. People communicate using Zoom, Microsoft Teams and lots of other devices or tools. Okay, so it's face-to-face, they speak to each other in the same place unless some technology or tool allows them or facilitates communication from a distance. Okay, now another characteristic is purpose-driven. What do we mean by purpose-driven? Speakers have an objective in mind, they have a purpose in mind. For example, socializing, exchanging information, maybe gossiping or asking for advice. Of course, we all know that gossiping is not something good, but it's still one of the purposes why some people do conversations. Okay, so again, a conversation is purpose-driven. So people have an objective in mind or a purpose when they do it. It can be socializing, exchanging information, and etc. The last characteristic is interactive. And what do we mean by interactive? تفاعلي. Speakers alternate. If only one of them were to be dominant, it would be a monologue, not a conversation. Speakers alternate, بتبادلوا الأدوار, and this is يعني natural. obvious. If only one of them were to be dominant, if one of them is the only one who talks, then it wouldn't be a conversation, it would be a monologue. تمام؟ وبنعرف إيش هو المونولوج، حوار مع نفسك أو when you talk to yourself. Okay? So again, and to finish the part of conversations, just a quick revision of the characteristics of a conversation. So a conversation is spontaneous and people don't fix time to chat and they engage in a conversation casually. A conversation is unrehearsed. Participants do not practice their speech beforehand. The conversation is synchronous. It takes place in real time. It's also face-to-face. Speakers speak to each other in the same place unless they use a technology to communicate from a distance. A conversation is also purpose-driven. People have an objective or a purpose in their mind when they do conversation, and this purpose might be socializing, exchanging information, and etc. And a conversation is also interactive, where people alternate, and not only one of them speaks all the time, because if so, it would be a monologue, not a conversation. Tamam? And you know, it's obvious, or we know that we make conversations in our everyday life. We make conversations at home, at school, at work, in a party, in a family gathering. Okay? طيب, let's move on to the next topic. Okay, now let's discuss our third topic, which is interviews. So what are interviews, or what is an interview? An interview is an occasion when somebody is asked questions. Okay, we all know what an interview is. In our life, we do interviews for jobs. We do interviews for university courses, sometimes, in most universities abroad. If, for example, you want to enroll or study an MA or a PhD course, you have to be interviewed just to see if you can do this course or if they want to accept you in this course. You also can do scholarship interviews. We also have maybe internship interviews, maybe voluntary work interviews. Okay, so lots of different kinds of interviews. So now, what are the features or characteristics of an interview? Well, the first feature is that an interview has two participants, at least, an interviewer and an interviewee. So you, as an interviewee, as someone who's asked questions, you will be asked these questions by at least one person, the interviewer, or you can be asked questions from a panel of interviewers. بيكونوا يعني sometimes 2 or 3 people interviewing you. Okay, so 2 participants at least. The second characteristic is that an interview has a specific aim, which is clear. A specific aim to see مثلا if this person we can accept this person as one of our staff members, if we want to hire this person or not. So this is the aim of an interview. A scholarship interview, for example, the aim is to know if this person deserves this scholarship or deserves the money we're going to give him or her. Okay. Okay, the third feature is that an interview has an informative function. What do we mean by informative function? Is that an interview, the purpose or the function of an interview is to provide useful information. They ask you questions, you provide information in order for them to decide. This information helps them to make the decision. Okay, And the third feature is that interviews have neatly delimited exchanges. So it's only about questions and answers. They ask questions, you answer, and then they ask another question and you answer. Okay, so it's an interview has delimited exchanges. تبادل في الكلام محدود، له حدوده. The conversation or the interview has its limits. You can't talk about a different topic, for example. يعني. Okay, now areas of questions or kinds of questions in an interview. We'll talk about 4 areas of questions. And number 1, demographics or standard background questions. They ask you questions about yourself, about your background, and these questions may include information about your age, your education, your name, your qualification, and maybe your current job. These questions may include, for example, could you introduce yourself? Or could you tell us something about yourself? So this is just to introduce yourself and give them a background about you. Okay, the other area of questions is behaviors. So they ask you some kinds of questions to know what you have done or are doing, or maybe to know what you can do in a specific situation or how you can behave in a certain situation. Okay, so they ask questions to get to know something about your behaviors. Okay, the third area is opinions or values. Okay, they also ask questions to get to know something about your opinions or your values. Okay, or maybe what you think about a specific thing, or what your opinion is regarding a specific topic. Okay, and the last area of questions is knowledge. They ask some questions to get knowledge from you, to get facts about a topic, maybe knowledge about what you're doing, about your current job, about what you have studied, to get knowledge about your skills and such things. Okay. Okay, we're done discussing what an interview is, and in this part we're going to discuss some interview general questions. Okay, questions that you might be asked in an interview. And of course, questions vary according to the nature of the interview, because we said we have so many different kinds of interviews: job interview, educational one, scholarship interview, and lots of other things. And in this part, or for these questions, they are all related to job interviews, but some of them may be good or suitable for other kinds of interviews. Okay, so the questions we're going to discuss are related to job interviews, but as I said, some of them may be appropriate for other types of interviews. So let's start with these questions. Number 1, introduce yourself. As we said, the purpose of this question is to give some background information about yourself. It's a very common interview question. It's just the question that they start with. Okay, introduce yourself, or could you tell us something about yourself? Okay, question number 2, what are your career preferences? What are your career preferences? What is the type of career or job that you like to do or you prefer? Okay. 3, how much salary are you expecting? This is also a very common and tricky question. How much salary are you expecting? They want to know if you have some expectations regarding the salary you're going to get. And number 4, what is your plan regarding continuing your education? What is your plan regarding continuing your education? And maybe from this question, they want to know if you're planning to stay with the company for a specific or a certain number of years. Maybe they want to know if you're planning to leave the company sometime in the future to continue your education. So maybe they want to know your plans, your future plans, or how long are you going to stay with them. Okay, and question number 5, tell us about your hobbies. This is a more personal question, and maybe they use it to reduce the tension or stress during the interview, and just to get to know something about your personal life or what you like to do in your free time. Okay, let's continue. So question number 6, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And the most important thing they need to know from this question is how you deal with your weaknesses, how you turn them into strengths, or what you learn from your weaknesses. Okay, question number 7, are you ready to work in a team? They want to know your team working skills and if you're willing to work as part of a team. Because you know, working as part of a team is very important in today's jobs. I mean nowadays jobs. Okay, question number 8, can you work under stress? And this is a very important thing. They want to know if you can work under stress or if you can meet very strict deadlines. Question number 9, what good things you liked in your ex-boss? What good things you liked in your ex-boss? And this question is clear. And question number 10, how do you feel working on the weekend? Tamam, they would like to know from this question if you're willing to work in your free time or in the weekend, if it happens that you had to do so. Okay. Now question number 11, define success. What does success mean to you? And this is important for everyone to have a definition of success. And this is good for them to know if you deserve to work with their company or not. And question number 12, how good your communication is. They would like to learn more about your communication skills, because again, communication is an important factor in any work environment. Question number 3, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? They want also to get to know something about your future plans, or where you're planning, what you're planning to do in the next 5 years. Are you planning to stay with the same company or do the same job, or are you planning to do something different? Question number 14, do you like trying new things or stay with old ones? They want to know if you have, if you're adventurous or not, and if you like to do new things, or do you just like staying with old ones? And question number 15, why have you applied for this position? They want to know the reason why you applied. Why do you like this job? Okay. Question number 16, areas where you can improve your skills. They want to know if you are aware of the things you miss or the skills that you need to improve. And this is also important, because no one is complete, and we need to improve our skills all the time. So they want to know if you know these skills or the things you need to improve. Question number 17, what if you are not selected for this position? They want to know your plan B, if you are prepared, if you're not accepted, for example, in this job, what you're going to do. Question 18, what makes you feel that you're the best candidate for this position? Here, they want you to convince them that you're the ideal candidate for this position. What do you see in yourself that makes you the best candidate to do this job? Question number 19, what are you looking for in a job? They want to know or to get to know about your expectations from this job, what you're looking forward to. And question 20, what kind of person would you refuse to work with? So this is also important. They want to know if you're in a team, what kind of individuals or people would you refuse to work with? Would you not be willing to work with? Okay. Question 21, what motivates you to do your best on the job? They want to know your motivations. What motivates you? What makes you work harder? So maybe they can provide it or work on it. Okay. 22nd, describe your management style. If you're applying for a job as a manager or something like this, they want to get to know something about your management style. How do you manage people or lead people? Okay, 23, how do you propose to compensate for your lack of experience? If, for example, you're applying for a job and you don't have enough experience or the experience they have asked for, so it's very possible that they ask you how would you compensate for this lack of experience? What else would compensate for this lack of experience? Okay. 24, describe your work ethics, and this is very important. They would like to know something about your ethics, your values, and things you will never give up. Tamam. 25, what qualities do you look for in a boss? This is similar to a previous question. They want to know what kind what kinds of boss do you like or do you prefer? 26, what position do you prefer on a team working on a project? They want to know the position that you like, what you like to do as part of a team. Okay? Okay, in this part, I include a link to a YouTube video titled Top 10 Job Interview Questions in English. It's a very helpful video and very interesting. You'll find the link in a separate Word file uploaded to your Moodle. Please open this video and try to learn something else from this video. Okay, and to learn some techniques on how to answer some job interview questions. And in this part, also another series of videos. It's actually one topic, so a video on one topic, interviews, a job interview, but divided into 5 parts, as you can see on the screen. And I provide these links in a separate Word file. You can access it through your Moodle. Please check these links and try to watch these videos on how to interview for a job in American English. So it's a very good opportunity to learn, to listen to an American accent of English. Okay, so 5 parts. Try to watch them in order, and good luck.